Yeah, just day to day still. Yep. We're keep seeing where he's at and get him out there and test him and see how he feels and see where he's at every day.
What do you need to see before you're comfortable?
Just him feeling good and making sure that he's able to, if he does play, give us what we need type deal and just that communication collaboration with each other.
Opposing defenses haven't seen kind of what he can do as a wide tight end in this offense. I'm not going to ask you what he could do, but I mean, how much of an advantage can that be for you?
Well, he's played last year, and he has some tape there, so they understand, and it is a different scheme for him, and he was doing well earlier this season, and so we don't really worry too much about that. They're going to have their scheme that they have defensively for our guys and what they want to pick and choose to do, and then if he ends up playing great, if he doesn't, then they'll have to scheme for somebody else.
Matt, the helicopter footage of Cody at Soldier Field last night showed us only so much. What report did you get out of that trip down there?
Yeah, no, I heard about it. That's we were busy, game planning and that sort of thing. So I heard you guys talking about it and saw that. I think just talking to Tabes, I know he had a good night at kicking, which is good, and so I just he knows he had a bad day, and he's going to just keep doing what he needs to do to get better.
How much of that do you think helps with confidence, if at all? Was it shaken at all?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys are understanding this or not, but he has the kid is he has confidence in himself, and as hard as that may be believe, missing the field goals that he did, I can go back in time and show you some people that have missed some field goals and had some bad days. I'm not going to do that. But this kid is able to rebound back, and that's what we want. So it was an issue for him that day. It was an issue for our team that day. But we're past that. We're worrying about other stuff.
Coach, pretty open-ended question here. What's the best part about having Tarik Cohen on your football team, and/or what's the best part about just being around him on a daily basis?
Yeah, so he's versatile. He can play a lot of different positions. He knows a lot of the intricacies of this offense, so there's the ability for us to use him in different ways, and then his energy is very infectious. I mean, he's the way he practices, his enthusiasm in meetings and in practice, he raises other people's levels.
With your knowledge of quarterbacks and how offenses run, when you watch Kirk Cousins and the way they run their offense, what kind of stands out to you?
With Kirk, I know Kirk. When I was back in Philadelphia, we looked I looked at his tape at the quarterback position. We brought him in for a visit. I got to meet him and talk to him. He's a really, really good person that treats the game with a lot of respect. He wants to be great at how he plays, and so he's always had success at that position. He fits well in what Flip does with their offense. He's accurate. I mean, he makes some throws this year. There's a couple throws that he's made where you just say, wow. And so I know he works really hard at his craft, and he's really starting to gain some trust and rhythm with those receivers.
Within a given week, are you watching the opposing quarterback and maybe taking notes and passing the bit in terms of different
Not sometimes I will, not all the time. Those guys, our coaches on defense, they know what they're looking at. They understand. And then if they have a question in regards to a concept or something, or if there's something that I see, like you're saying, if I see it, I'll definitely pass it on to them.
As you guys go into third down stuff, what really stands out to you about what the Vikings do well to be at like 25%?
Yeah, they're really strong on third down. What stands out to me is that they do such a great job of disguising when they're coming, and they make when they're not coming look the same. So I'll go back to where they've been playing together now for a little while, and Coach Zimmer with what he's done in that system. And then they got good players. So you got really good players. You got a really good system. When you get into third down, it can be trouble. So it's important for us to stay ahead of the sticks and try to limit. I mean, you even go back to the Rams game and you look at, I'm just using numbers here, and you say, okay, well, statistically, I think they were 1 of 6 on third down. Now the good part is that they only had 6 opportunities, but you can go to each game and you see where they're at on third down, and they're killing it.
What
kind of stress do they put on your guards and center?
Well, they put a lot of stress on you because of their players there. They got really good players on the inside that penetrate. They're strong. They can force you to lose leverage. So, you know, Cody and our guards are going to have they understand they're going to have a big challenge here this week.
Along those lines, what have you seen from James in terms of his consistency with his technique over the last couple games?
His consistency's good. He's learning. He's a kid that I think Harry right now is doing a good job at making him understand that there's going to be times where you get beat, but making sure that he improves in those areas. But leverage-wise, one of his strengths is when he does lose leverage or he maybe misses a block a little bit, he can recover well. But he's doing good.
Vikings didn't have Everson the whole season. It seemed like he kind of looked more like himself though in that last game. How does he change things for them?
Well, he's a guy that has a lot of experience, and for him, he's a really good player. So anytime a really good player isn't playing and they come back in and they start playing, it's going to elevate and it's going to make the offenses know where he's at. It's similar to the situation we've been through with Khalil. You know, that when he comes back, now you got to know where he's at, and it's going to open things up for other people. And now with this defense that we're getting ready to go against, you're talking about those type of players everywhere. And they got a good defense.
Rams game got flexed as well. I heard Trey Burton say earlier this week that this is what your team asked for, and now you're in a situation where games are being flexed and you guys are playing on Sunday night. Do you feel like your team is a little extra pep in their step this week, looking forward to Sunday night?
Yeah, they regardless of the Rams flex, there's an energy right now with us that I think is normal in our situation. I like to put things out there for our guys and make sure that they understand where we're at. You understand, okay, now this is the situation we put ourselves in. Now, how do we respond to it? What do we do? And so the other stuff of being flexed here or there or having a game moved, that's down the road. We'll worry about that later. But as I said earlier in the year, I told the guys we had the first 2 games of the year with Green Bay and then Seattle. That we're fortunate to have those night games and to be able to play in front of everybody. Not every team gets that, especially coming off of what we came off of. And so for us to be able to have more of those, you want that. You got to keep it there, and now we got to perform.
It feels like you want them to kind of enjoy the moment too a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that comes from your personality? But where did you get that from? Is that something?
If you're not enjoying the moment, then why are you playing? You know, it's not that hard to me. It's I like to have fun. I like to have fun when I coach. I like our players to have fun when they play. You got to know where that line's at, and when you're crossing the line. We're now in a position to be able to play at home in front of our great fans to have some fun in a game that means something. And you don't want to be on the other side of that. We're not now. We're in a good spot. Let's take care of business.
Understanding that you have a game Sunday, has the quick turnaround next week impacted any part of the schedule this week?
None of the schedule this week. No, we'll go ahead as normal this week, and then it just is a super quick turnaround from when that game ends that night. Coaches are in right away, first thing in the morning. Players are in that day, and we put that game aside, and we're back to Detroit.
Are you doing any more scouting ahead for Detroit than you would in a normal week?
We have some things that we're doing, but nothing too crazy.
Matt, when you took this job and then looked at the schedule when it came out, do you think, if you can be as honest as possible, do you think you'd be in this situation playing for first place, you know, a little past the halfway point of the year, this Vikings game?
You don't know that until you meet your team and you see who they are. As we started growing and when we got into training camp, I really started feeling like we have something special here. Now, I don't know. I couldn't say in training camp because we never played a game together. I have no idea how our guys are going to react in certain situations. As I've seen us grow over the last several weeks, that trust level just goes up. The players start really trusting the coaches. The coaches start trusting the players, and that bond just keeps getting stronger and stronger. So now we're at a good point, and where this thing can just take off. But you have to make sure that you do the right things every single day. No complacency, details, shirts tucked in, balls, everything that we talked about in training camp. Don't lose that right now. And I'm making sure, and I could go back to, I think that's where my mentor, Coach Reed, has taught me the best is you never look ahead, and you always just prepare daily. And regardless of whether you're on a win streak or a lose streak, you don't change how you do things. You just focus on what you can control, and this is what we can control right now where we're at.
It seems like there's so many different levels to your coaching where you're really encouraging to the players, but we've heard this theme of don't get complacent, stay hungry. And then there's also this level of fun. I've heard some of the players say this is the most fun they've ever had playing football. How do you ensure that there is that happy balance?
Yeah. One of my strengths, I feel, is keeping a pulse on the team. And how do you do that? Well, you if there's a practice where you feel like there's sloppy details, drop balls, missed assignments, repeated plays, and that thing continues within a practice, now it's time to let them know it. And I believe everybody has a dark side. I know I have a dark side, and I like, meaning in a good way, that if I need to crack the whip or if I have to get on these guys or let them know that they need to be checked, I'll check them. But we'll also, if I see that they're handling business, they take care of business, and they're doing things the right way, let's have fun. That's why we're doing it. So there's both of those, and to me, that's just me being me and doing what I do, and then relying on the coaches as well. I'll always be asking coaches, hey, how's the DB room looking? How are they feeling? What's the sense? Hey, how's the tight end room, et cetera, and I use that.
As a coach, with the defense leading the NFL with points on takeaways, how does it feel to see that kind of production from both sides of the ball? You can count on defense and offense kind of put points on the board.
It's important. That's one of the stats that matter as you go through this, is making sure that you get the football on defense and you don't give it up on offense. And when you pair those together, you're always going to be in every game usually. I mean, unless something crazy happens, you're going to be in the game. And so we've talked about that. The guys understand it. We show clips of it. If I feel like I need to make them aware of something one way or the other, I'll do that. And we want to stay at the top at that. And because we know in the end, if we do that, we're always going to have a shot.
How similar do you see your defense to what the Vikings are doing, and how much has this scoring by your defense given even the offense confidence?
Yeah, they are. Both defenses are very similar. They're good at stopping the run. They're opportunistic and they take the ball away when they need to. So they're led by two great people on those sides, and Coach Fangio, and then of course with Coach Zimmer running that show over there. And then there's the experience of playing together. Now our team has a few younger guys here or there, but for the most part, it's defenses that are hard to run the ball on, with opportunistic back end guys in the back end, and then linebackers that can play as well. Thank you.
We can do that.
Oh, that guy. Already calmed down. Was a
Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo, right.
There you go.
So, over the past couple of years, even when the defense has played well, the secondary hasn't gotten a lot of credit. This year they are.
What have been the differences in the play of the secondary?
Well, they're getting more credit because we've gotten more interceptions, so that's obviously the main reason. But, overall, we've been defending the pass better than we have, and we've come up with some balls in the takeaway department.
As far as the interceptions, is it as simple as catching the balls that hit him in the hands, or are there other things that play into that?
There's a bunch of little things, but, obviously catching your opportunities is one, but being in better position, being in tighter coverage, maybe having a little better rush around you, it all kind of plays into it.
How did Matt fare Sunday?
Good.
What were you looking to see as he came off of that break? And what did
Just to see that he was confident enough to push off of it, put his foot in the ground and play normal. That's what you could see in the games that he played when he was injured, that he wasn't able to plant and push off and play with power.
What did you see from him setting the edge against the run?
Good. That's a strength of his, and I'm sure it has been most of his career, and it's continued here.
What you see is Kirk Cousins present going against him.
Lots. He's a very accurate passer. He's a very good diagnoser of defenses, knows where to go with the ball based upon the route they have called versus the coverage you have called. He's a very good processor of the information. He's accurate when he throws it, and he's got a deceptively very strong arm that I don't think he gets enough credit for.
We haven't got Delvin Cook going quite yet this year, but what kind of a thing does he add to the offense?
An explosive player. He's strong, yet explosive. He can break the big run. He had a 70-yarder here recently against somebody. So he's a threat to go the route all the time, and he's a really good all-around player.
Vic, Eddie Goldman doesn't have a lot of quantifiable stats that are easy to see. What's the best way to illustrate what kind of year that he's having from your vantage point?
We've played good run defense, and we can't play good run defense without him playing good.
And what is it that he does that is kind of making that happen?
He's strong in there, whether it's a one-on-one block or a two-on-one block. He's able to hold the point for us and yet get off blocks and make plays within that, so he's a very important player for us.
Roquan had another double-digit tackle game. What do you see that's coming together for him? Is it more than just what's happening up front for him right now?
Yeah, he's playing good, and I think he's getting better and better every day, not just every game. I see better things in practice, just little things, processing quicker, executing his job crisper and more quickly, if that's such a word. And he's getting better every day.
I talked to Danny about him for a little bit. He says they don't have chemistry, but a relationship out there on the field. How do you see them kind of coming together, kind of playing off each other there?
Good. I mean, those two guys are next to each other most of the time, so it's good that they can communicate, have an efficient way to communicate when things start going fast, and work well together.
Prince said he was going to ask you how you thought he should have played that interception on a fourth down that was a long ball. What did you end up coming away from that play with, and what's realistic for Prince to do as he's making a play on the ball? And
right. Yeah, I think a lot of things come into play there. One, you ideally would like to knock it down and not lose the field position. That's in the balance there. Sometimes if you're going up there and it's a very competitive situation and there's other guys around, maybe sometimes knocking it down maybe not be the way to go. But I think he's just got to be more conscious that knocking down the ball is an option there. And I don't think he was at that time.
I know you weren't particularly pleased with Aaron Lynch after the Bills game, but how have you seen him grow in this defense?
Good. I mean, he's been playing a lot for us. I think he's also a guy that's improving week to week because of, his lack of play in training camp set him back, and I see him improving every week. And we're still rotating him in there and getting him a bunch of snaps. Now he's not getting as many as he was getting when Khalil was out, but I like Aaron. I like where he's headed, and I think his future is bright.
Did you send the commissioner the bill for the Rams game too?
Yeah, and then he's going to get one for the next one too, because I've already had another flight that's got to get changed.
United took away change fees for the people who were supposed to go to Mexico City. So
what about Chicago?
Make a call. You're the,
So with it being this far in the season, I'm sure you guys have enough footage of the Vikings to kind of dissect their offense. Is there any kind of weak links or areas that you guys are hoping to exploit?
Now, they're pretty good all around. Obviously, everybody knows about their receivers. They're really good, and they got a good tight end that's really good also, and he's good all over the field, especially in the red zone. They got two really good backs, and everybody knows about the quarterback. So, you know, they're a well-balanced offense.
Vic, you kind of talk about a lot of guys who are playing well right now and seem to be trending in the right direction. When you get about halfway into a season, past the halfway point, and you have so many of those guys who are doing that, what kind of a defense can that create in the second half of the year?
Hopefully a good one. But every week you're tested, so should be a good one.
Is that something that was kind of a hallmark of the defenses you had in San Francisco, having guys kind of trending in the right direction around this time?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we did in the season there, usually on some high notes as far as winning a bunch of games, and I think we did win 5 of 8 playoff games. So, you know, so yeah, hopefully.
Matt was saying there's an extra energy around here right now heading into a big game this deep in the season, first place on the line. You've been here a couple of years. It hasn't always been like that. Where have you noticed that energy, even defensively or just around the building?
You know, I don't know that I noticed a lot more energy other than obviously when you have a winning record, which we haven't had, and you are playing more meaningful games than you've played in the past, there's maybe a different air. But I don't detect the energy part of it.
Leonard got his first sack. He said after the game that it was almost a sense of relief for him. What do you think that kind of does in terms of kind of resetting his mindset now that's kind of off the table?
Well, hopefully he'll continue and start getting some more and playing good. I think a lot of what happened with Leonard, too, was, you know, those first 4 weeks with his hand, especially the first 3 with the cast, we probably played him too much, you know. And you guys are seeing him not be productive and start asking a bunch of questions. And then the first game where he had the small cast on it, he wasn't confident enough to throw it in there consistently. He was a little tentative. So I don't think we've seen what he can or can do until these last couple games.
When you stunt and twist him kind of inside there, what kind of threat does he?
Well, he's very athletic, and he's very relentless, and he's slippery. So he can sometimes get through the cracks better than other guys.
You've been with Bryce Callahan through his career and watched him take to the slot role. What are some of the nuances of the slot role that you really feel like he's grown comfortable with?
Well, a lot of them. There's a lot of little things that he's mastered and can go to the next level as far as reading and dissecting routes and knowing how to play him, maybe play him a half second quicker than he did 2 years ago. And those things start to add up.
Anything else?
Matt Nagy said yesterday that he thought having the crowd involved really helps the defense more than the rest of the team. Would you agree with that, and especially on third down, he said?
It does. It does. I mean, we'd like the crowd to be as loud as they can and help us out as much as they can, but it's been my experience, the colder it gets, the less louder it gets at some of these stadiums.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Vic.
Mark, immediately after the game against the Lions, Matt called it Mitch's best game. What did you take away? What were some of the important, things that you saw and appreciated when you rewatched it?
Yeah, there's always stuff you can improve upon. Number one, I thought all 11 guys offensively, played together more often than ever before. So that's a progression that we, need to keep trending upward, and that's what it's all about. there's always things he can improve upon, always things we can improve upon as coaches, in all aspects. And so, but, you know, the start of the game and 4 for 4 touchdowns, 4 drives in a row for touchdowns, that's obviously a good standard.
There's a lot of, it feels like a big week here, you know, prime time, divisional rival, all that. Is Mitch the kind of guy that you need to try to get his mind off of that? Does he care about that sort of stuff? And how do you try to manage his personality going into a pretty high-profile game for him?
Yeah, the great thing about him is he cares just as much about every post-practice throw when he's the last guy out there. He competes just as hard at that, or, you know, competing against the other quarterbacks in an individual drill as he does on, you know, third down during the game. And so that's a great competitor. That's something that is innate in him and rare. And then also I think it's more of a, you know, it's more of you know, just staying in those moments. And he does a great job of that. He does a great job of that.
When did you find that out about him, that, oh, this is how this guy's wired?
You can see guys like that immediately. You know, a guy that has to repeat every rep if it's not perfect. He has to get, hey, you and I need to get that again. You know, just of not allowing an average rep to count or be okay. And sometimes that's to a fault. You know, if he flutters it 4 inches outside to the back shoulder and we still convert, you know, that's quote-unquote good enough. But if that's something that if it's a drill or something where he can control it, we're reloading that play every time, and that's great.
What is so challenging about the Vikings' third down defense?
Well, the challenge of their third down defense is the challenge of their first and second down defense, because they average 3rd and 9, and you know that whatever it is, 8.6. I'm not real good at math, but that's 9, and that is a bad percentage game for an offense. They're just really good at what they do. They're extremely sound. All those guys have played together for a long time. They've showed their depth this year in terms of you know, a couple guys get banged up and they haven't skipped a beat. You know, in some places arguably better in terms of the third down, you know, production. But just a combination of great scheme and great guys executing it for a long time.
And there's tape on Adam Shaheen, but not really in this offense. Is there any advantage that you guys can glean from that?
Yes. No, I have no idea. Yeah, Adam's a guy that we're excited about his future, and we'll see, I guess, is the bad answer to that. Yeah.
Mark, Mike Zimmer is kind of notorious for blitzing heavily when it comes to young quarterbacks. Is that something that you're expecting this Sunday, and how do you feel like your team has handled pressure or blitzes?
Well, going in reverse order, we've been okay. You know, at times we missed a few things early, both from a protection standpoint, also from a route standpoint in terms of you know, just having the urgency to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand, and then we made some mistakes at quarterback as well. But yeah, they're really good at the pressure game. They're really good at making the non-pressure and the pressure look the same, and that's, you know, how they get on the edge of people all the time, is just that half a second, that half step where whatever it is, a tackle slow sets and then he's beat off the edge, or, you know, they're worried about the A gap and the B gap pressure or whatever it is, and it's they're really good.
For an inexperienced offensive lineman such as James Daniels, who's being asked to pull and block in the run game, pulling, what are some of the challenges he has to overcome in terms of what defenses can do, just simply in terms of identifying the guy he needs to block and finishing a block as he comes across?
In some ways, it is that simple. You know, a lot of it is that, and I think those things come from, number one, having confidence, just being totally confident in what he's doing. We believe 100% in that guy, and just being completely convicted and confident at what he's doing. And then the second is experience. You know, and usually for some guys, that the first thing has to happen before the confidence comes. We need that to kind of whatever it is, to believe it before you see it type of confidence is hard sometimes for a young player.
So sticking with the run game, then, what did you make of last Sunday when, you know, Matt as well just said not good enough and saw some issues there? What do you make of what you guys can address?
Yeah, there's things we can improve on in the run game and things we can improve on in the passing game. And when you're doing that and everybody knows what the issues are and you're winning and making those adjustments, it's all good. But yeah, we again had some hiccups at each level. You know, it wasn't always the back, it wasn't always the front, and we'll keep coaching it.
What makes Hunter such a special pass rusher this year?
Yeah, again, a guy that just it's on edges of people. He's got great counter moves. He's got speed. He's got power. You know, and they move him around enough to make it a very difficult proposition. And then again, just the show one way, bring it the other. Just that mental gymnastics that they make guys go through sometimes. And he's around them. They're beat. Great effort guy. You know, there are a few times, especially watching like the Detroit film, which is little, you know, it's like mature audiences only kind of for a quarterback. But it's just effort. You know, those guys had him covered enough and pulled the ball down, and guys got home.
Mark, how much of your Tariq Cohen repertoire do you think you've used already, and how much more is there that we haven't seen that you can still do with him?
He's a fun guy to coach just because he loves football. He loves the physical part of it. He loves the mental part of it. He goes 100 miles an hour, whatever you ask him to do, and has played obviously halfback for us. Has played inside. Has played outside. Just a very versatile guy. And yeah, I mean, there's more there.
Do you like dream about different ways that you can use them and stuff like that?
Sure. A guy like that again, he's so rare he's one of those guys you can tell him, hey, run whatever, 8 yards and stick with your right foot at a 45 angle, do this, that, and the other, and he'll do it. You know, he'll do it instantly. And so that's a fun toy.
Mark, after the game, Matt described the 3 plays you guys ran after the Amos fumble recovery. He said they're the worst 3-play calls of his life. and I'm curious from your standpoint, as you guys brainstorm on this type of thing, you know, where have you guys gotten to in that dialogue? How much do you feel like you guys are able to help each other with the exchange of ideas? And what in particular are you applying at this point to make sure that you guys are getting sharper and improving with the play selection?
Yeah, I think he's taking one for the team. In a lot of ways, you know, sure. There's always calls. Sometimes there's calls that work that you wish you had back. You know, Tariq makes a great play, makes somebody miss. Is that a great call? You know, that's the chicken or the egg type of deal. But we had a couple of those plays we absolutely, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda executed better. And we're always going to second guess everything we do. You know, we call that critiquing or self-scouting or analysis, and you call it whatever, second guessing or whatever the negative spin on that is. Not you individually.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you.
They all work. What if I hit stop on it? Okay. Go ahead with your first question. Go ahead.
Chris, how did it go with Cody at the stadium?
Awesome.
And is that a meaningful endeavor?
Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, I think it is something that you can continue to do. It was good. I mean, you go down there and you kick, and you're working on the elements. You're in that venue, but at the same time, it was almost when we walked out, kind of felt like you were 10 years old. You're just going to go out and play football, and it was a good experience.
Did you notice television helicopters?
No comment.
Has that happened to you before?
A helicopter?
Over your field goal unit?
Can't. No, I checked that one off the box. Checked it off.
I am curious how that unit, and I guess Cody specifically, is handling all the scrutiny.
He's doing well. He understands, and but I'll say this about him. The good news is the way he prepares, he sets himself up to be successful, and
You know, last week, I have to admit, I've seen misses. I've never seen 4 misses hit the uprights before. I mean, that was, you know, you didn't see anything during the week. The way he struck the ball was really good. The good news is, as disappointing as those misses were, they weren't all over the place. You didn't see bad ball rotation. You didn't see it go way left, way right, and you say, oh boy, we have something technically wrong. He actually hit the ball really well, and then it leaked on him. Every upright that it hit was the way the wind was blowing. So to be able to go down to the stadium and continue with that thought process and learning the lines and finding those things, I think it's going to be very beneficial for him. I mean, he'd only missed 1 kick in Soldier Field. So, you know, it's a learning experience.
Do kickers who get used to kicking in their home stadium look at certain points of references in the stadium to kind of aim at?
No question. I mean, there's a line of sight that guys are looking at, and they're going to find it up top. It's not right behind the goalpost. I mean, it's high. So when you kick towards the south end, obviously as the suites kind of come around there, you'll see some lettering up there that you can find your target line at. When you're heading to the north end zone, our tunnel, there's not quite as much. There's really no signage there. So, you know, finding different marks that you're going at was, you know, stuff that they have to figure out during the game. You know, when we went to the week before into Buffalo, man, it's a tough, windy place too, and it was very windy that day, and he hit the ball real well there, you know. So I'm looking forward for him to get back to Sunday, and you know, and we'll take it from there.
Chris, can you put into words just how hard it is to do what he did, to hit not the upright, not just once but 4 times in one game? I mean, even to do it one time, how unlikely that is.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the Vegas odds would be on that.
How have you seen him move on from it? And kind of a second part of that, when you're scouting him in the offseason, you're trying to figure out who you're going to sign to be your kicker. How much of the mental trait can you really scout at that point?
Well, I had him in Cleveland. Right. And when I got him in Cleveland, funny, you know, we picked him up on Saturday, and then we flew to the game. And then the first time we ever saw him kick was in pregame, snap, hold, kick, and telling the holder, hey, can you lean it like this? Oh, this is your cadence. This is how you're going to do it. And he had a tough outing that day, but that was excusable, so to speak. He understood it. I knew that he was a tough player because the next week we went to Washington, and I'll never forget it. His first kick is a 52-yarder, and he drills it. And then there was actually a penalty on the play. So they move him back, and he drills it again. I know what's under the hood on this kid. That's why I'm excited for him. I believe in him. I know what type of day that was. We all get it. At the end of the day, we did win the game. That's a positive. But you also understand that as we move forward in this journey, you know, it's going to come down to field goal kicks. And that's his job, and he's really good at it, and I have confidence in him. And, you know, I believe in him. You know, this wasn't anything that I saw during the week. In pregame, I thought, boy, is he hitting it good. In fact, when I watched his ball and I watched Prater's, I was like, my guy's dialed in. I feel good about it, you know. So it was one of those things, you know, and it's time. We'll never get it back. That's how we look at it. Let's move forward and get on a run.
Chris, well, you know, we mentioned the helicopter. I mean, it's such an outrageous thing to happen. What is the potential for the swell of attention on Cody or any kicker? Because, as you said, you start playing meaningful games. Obviously, this is a nationally televised game. We're all asking you about it. He's answering questions. It takes on a life of its own. What's the risk or the potential of that?
Well, I get it. From this standpoint, I think that people, I mean, we've all been at home. Oh, the kicker missed it. There's not a lot of people out there that can kick the ball, you know, and there's been kicking troubles all around the league. Multiple teams, guys working out multiple guys. There's just not a plethora of players that are out there that can do that skill. I just think he stays the course. That's his strength. And like I say, the good news, we didn't see anything really technically wrong. Let's tweak the line. Let's get a little bit more comfortable in our environment. And then let your God-given ability take over. I will say this about guys that I've had the opportunity to coach. You give me your best, I'll take it. I can honestly say he's not trying to miss them on purpose, you know. And when I see a player prepare the way he does, he sets himself up to be successful. And then from there, we'll see how it goes.
We're in here all the time asking Matt about Mitch's technique. You know, things go right, things go wrong. For you and kicker's technique, what have you become comfortable with over the years working with guys in terms of, you know, tweaking their swing or getting to know their swing? How do you approach that part of it?
It's a little bit like it's a golf swing. Everyone swings just a little bit different. And you have to get under the hood and figure out, okay, for example, this player's plant foot is a little farther up. This one's a little farther back. Where's his hips? What's the timing of all that? You have to get to know the player. I feel like I do know Cody, and understand where, if he does miss or where it's going to leak, which way it's going to go. And then understanding, all right, if it does that, we go to this trigger mechanism and say, okay, hey, let's do this right here, boom, and go. So that's, everybody's different, and that's what makes it a unique position to coach.
Pat O'Donnell had a kick down inside the 10. That was a win, right?
I'm going to tell you this right now. Pat O'Donnell, you know, somebody asked me the other day, well, his net keeps going down. And I said, well, the good news is, guys, the reason his net's going down is we're punting from the 50-yard line, which is good. And Pat O'Donnell, we've had 9 games. He's won the net punt 8 of them. So that's what we're comparing it to. And to be able to get us out of the backed up on the 1-yard line there, that was a nice punt, and the punt team did a good job in the coverage there. So there was positives. I know that everyone's going to talk about the missed kicks, but I like the way the guys covered and played, and we're getting there. There's still things we got to work on and get better at, and we will.
I guess the point is that just in general, are special teams making the progress after it seemed like a little bit of a slow start? Overall, are they making the progress that you expect?
We're not there yet. We're not there yet. I think we're trending. You know, we got to get better in kick return. You know, since the New England game, I mean, really, we had the 2 bad plays in the New England game, and other than that, it's been solid. You know, but it can be better. You know, and that's what we're working for. I like our room. I like our guys. I like the way they're trending, and I have confidence in them.
Chris, what did you make of the way Anthony played the ball on both of the onside kicks? First the bat, and then the one that he kind of went down to the sideline on.
Yeah, you like to field the ball, you know, and that's what, you know, you talk about. I mean, the batting part comes into play when the thing's all over the place and it's a free-for-all, you know. But I thought he could have fielded that one, and I think he will. You know, he had fielded the other 2 very cleanly. I think it was the Seattle, and I can't remember what other game it was. But he was our guy, 2 for 2 with it. So, you know, learning experience for us. But those are plays, obviously, that we have to have, you know, at the end.
What did you make of the way your 2 guys defended their little switch on the side?
We got to clean that up. We got to clean that up, and that's a miscommunication there, and we'll get that cleaned up. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,